Ever since Reroute to Remain, In Flames really have taken a direction of a more groovy and alternative metal-like sound, and many consider this to be the fall of In Flames, claiming that they never have made an ounce of good music since Clayman. And although I'm not really a fan of post-2000s In Flames, and although I think the Jester Race and Oracle are superb albums that are incredibly good from beginning to end, I don't have a problem with In Flames changing their sound. And now with this album, Siren Charms, In Flames really have opted for a more commercial and almost radio-friendly style of music, which of course implies some elements, some codes that are proper to more commercial music that I dislike. Just for one example, let's say simpler songwriting. But the fact alone that In Flames are trying different things, or the fact that they decided to do more commercial music, is not directly my problem. The band can do whatever they like, and I'm going to take this new album for what it is. So it's just something I wanted to point out, just so I don't get misunderstood as to why I don't particularly like this album. So all of that being said, let's just start out with the actual review. First of all, I don't think this album is complete trash. In fact, there are some things here and there that I truly like. Just take for example the first track, In Plain View. I thought it was a pretty nice way to start off the album. I was going to listen to it, I listened to the stream by the way, and I was going to listen to it with a lot of prejudice. You know, after hearing Rust and Nail as a single, I think, I was expecting this whole album to be, you know, this boring, commercial, easy listen type of album. When I first listened to In Plain View, I was strangely surprised. I thought there was a nice melodic part in the beginning, cool riffing, a chorus that actually has something in it, and it almost gave me hope for the rest of the album. But then, sadly, things kind of turn sour. Everything's gone, the second track starts out, and I thought it was just kind of mediocre. I just think that basically there is too much emphasis on the vocals that are kind of poor actually. So in the mix it just feels like the guitars could be doing some things that are really interesting, but we just can't really hear them. Or sometimes the guitar even just do nothing particularly interesting except from being melodic, and I just don't think that melodic guitars that harmonize together, that alone makes it an interesting riff. Just like the track Paralyzed, for example. I think the song is not so bad, but the guitars are sometimes harmonized, you know, they don't really do anything interesting besides being, well, melodic. And things kind of pick up the pace whenever you hear the fifth track, which is With Eyes Wide Open. You know, this song on its own is actually kind of good. However, in this point I truly understood that every song was kind of the same in its structure. This really pattern-like songwriting is really something that comes out in this album, and I'm not really a fan of that. I mean, I guess it's a pretty easy type of song to listen to, and it's kind of easy to like, and it provides that catchy feel that some of the songs have. But I don't know, it's just, there is no real surprise in it, nothing that comes out. The only things that do come out are some parts here and there in the songs that are kind of underwhelming, unfortunately, because of the mixing and because of the little plays they have in the entire album. Just like in the title track, Siren Charms, I expected kind of a little more from the title track, you know, but except from a really cool part that is like in the middle or later part of the song, there's nothing really too particularly interesting. Track 7 was actually not a bad song at all. It was actually pretty good, especially if you're into the alternative metal that In Flames were going for ever since Reroute to Remain. The song is called When the World Explodes, and with a title like this you almost expect an actual boom in the sound. And actually it does make quite the impact. It feels kind of explosive compared to the monotony of the rest of the album. You know, when I started filming this, I actually wanted to do a track-by-track review, but as time went on and I was talking about it, and I think there's no real point in doing a track-by-track, because all the songs truly have the same qualities and defaults. There are some ideas, some underdeveloped ideas that did make the album enjoyable at times, but it's way too little to compensate for the lack of creativity, lack of inventiveness, lack of ambition, and lack of emphasis on the other instruments than the vocals. Just a lack of overall interest in general. So despite many hardcore metalheads that are completely trashing this album out, I don't think it's terrible, but since there are so few things that could have spiced up the listen, it can't really score much higher than average or decent. So overall, it is a decent album that I could see myself, you know, going back to just for one or two songs like In Plain View or When the World Explodes. So it's not to say it's bad, it's maybe a bit higher than average, nothing spectacular, nothing that really comes out, and a few good ideas don't really make up for the whole experience. However, if you truly like what In Flames did more recently, I'm pretty sure you will like this album nonetheless. So I know this may not be like a complete review, but I don't really think there is much to say about this album. Everything I wanted to say, I already said it. So once again, despite everything I said, maybe I am crazy, so tell me what you think of Siren Charms in the comments. That's all for me today, so I'll just see you next time.